All right, let's dive in. Ever feel like something's pulling you? Like you just know, especially when you're being creative?
Yeah.
That's what we're looking at today. It's all about this heart compass. Mm-hmm. We're using Sandra Sabene's book, Creating with Spirit, as our guide.
Okay.
And the big idea is our feelings, especially those exciting ones, can actually, well, they can be like a compass.
Yeah.
Pointing us toward a life that's more real and fulfilling, you know?
And it's really interesting. Sabine doesn't just stop at like acknowledging feelings.
Right.
She's got this idea of the heart compass.
Okay.
Like it's an internal GPS.
Okay.
Using our emotions, you know, how we react to things, especially during creative stuff.
Yeah.
To help us figure out what truly clicks with us. It's less about like logic and all that.
Right.
More about trusting that gut feeling, that inner voice.
It's totally different from how we usually decide things, isn't it?
Definitely.
Instead of weighing all the pros and cons,
Yeah.
we're tuning into how different choices make us feel.
It's
It's like we're finally saying, hey, my feelings have something to say too. Maybe I should listen.
Picture this. You're working on something.
Okay.
And you get to that point where, you know, ideas are flowing.
Yes.
Time just vanishes.
You're in the zone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sabine's saying this feeling, this flow state, it's like a signal.
From the heart compass.
Right.
Like it's telling you this is it. This is where you should be.
You got it.
So those times when we're like super energized and excited, losing track of time because we're so into what we're doing.
Right.
That's actually our heart compass giving us the green light.
Yes.
Like, keep going. That's so cool. But it can't be all sunshine and rainbows, can it?
Right.
What about when things feel off?
Yeah.
Like you hit a wall or feel stuck?
Sabine talks about that too. She's big on mindful pauses.
Okay.
Taking a moment to check in with ourselves and asking, how am I feeling right now?
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be like these huge emotions either. Even feeling peaceful or at ease, that can be your heart compass nudging you
In the right direction.
Yeah. And if something feels heavy or draining or just wrong,
Yeah.
well, that's info too.
It is.
It's a sign you might need to stop, rethink things, and maybe change course a bit.
It's like our feelings are giving us constant feedback, aren't they?
Right?
Guiding us towards what feels good and steering us away from what doesn't.
Exactly.
Makes me think of all the times I ignored that gut feeling, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Push those doubts aside.
Yeah.
And, well, those decisions usually didn't work out so well.
That's so important. Sabine even talks about a time in her own life where she got so fixated on this one goal, she wanted to leave a legacy for her son,
Okay.
that she completely lost sight of the present.
Wow.
She was so focused on the future
Yeah.
that she missed the joy and connection that was right there in front of her.
It's a powerful reminder of what can happen when we tune out our heart compass. You
Yeah.
know, let our minds take over.
Exactly.
So it's not enough to just notice our feelings.
Right.
We have to actually trust them, be willing to listen, even when it goes against logic or makes us uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But how do we actually do that? How do we know if it's a fleeting feeling or a real message from our heart compass?
Right.
Yeah, that's the tough part, right? How do we actually know? Are we really hearing our heart compass or just getting carried away?
It is important to know the difference. Sabine actually, she talks about the heart compass speaking to us in subtle ways
Okay.
through what she calls soul whispers.
Soul whispers.
Yeah.
I like that. It's a more, how do I say this? It's more complex than just saying follow your heart, which, let's be honest, sometimes leads to impulsive decisions.
Yeah, definitely.
So how do we tune into those soul whispers? How do we know if what we're feeling is real or just, wishful thinking?
Well, one of the keys is to pay attention to how the feeling feels.
How the feeling feels.
Yeah, like the quality of it. Sabine is a true soul whisper. It has this sense of clarity, expansion, and peace. It's not about forcing things to happen.
Right.
It's more like a gentle pull towards something that feels right, even if it's a little scary or new.
So it's not just about that initial excitement,
Right.
but also about a deeper sense of peace and alignment.
Honestly, sometimes it feels like my emotions are all over the place.
Yeah.
How do we even start to make sense of that inner chaos and find those whispers of truth?
Sabine, she suggests some techniques.
Okay.
One is really simple but powerful, mindful breathing. She describes it as creating space for the soul to speak.
I like that.
So when we slow down our breathing, we're calming our nervous system,
Right.
quieting the mind, and making space for those feelings and intuitions to come up.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like hitting pause on all the thoughts and feelings so we can actually hear our inner voice. And it's something we can do anywhere, anytime, right? Exactly. And Sabine also suggests creative stuff like journaling, just letting our thoughts and feelings flow out on the page without judgment.
Okay.
It's a way to, bypass the logical mind and tap into creativity and intuition.
It makes me think about all those times I tried journaling.
Yeah.
And it felt like I was just roading the same worries and to-do lists over and over. Maybe I wasn't doing it right.
Maybe.
What if, instead of trying to force insights, I just let myself explore the feelings, even the messy ones, and see what happens?
Yeah, that's it. It's not about getting the right answer, but about exploration. Sometimes the biggest insights come when we least expect them, and Sabine reminds us that following our heart compass isn't always about making big changes.
Okay.
Sometimes it's about those small choices that align with what we value and bring us joy.
So even something like spending time in nature, or grabbing coffee with a friend, or listening to music that lifts us up, that can be honoring our heart compass.
Absolutely. Those little choices can make a big difference in how we feel overall. Yeah.
They're like deposits of joy and energy that keep us connected to ourselves.
Okay.
And as we get better at listening to our heart compass, we start to notice how it guides us in all parts of our lives.
Our relationships, our jobs, our creative stuff.
Right. It's like a ripple effect,
Yeah.
Starting from within and creating a life that feels more aligned and purposeful.
I'm starting to see how this goes way beyond just making decisions.
Definitely.
It's about getting to know ourselves better, trusting our inner wisdom.
Yeah.
But what about when our heart compass points us in a direction that feels risky or uncertain?
Right.
How do we balance following our heart with being practical and responsible?
Well, that's when things get really interesting, because sometimes the path our heart compass shows us, it's not the easiest or the most conventional.
Right.
It might make us question things, make us step outside our comfort zone, even face our biggest fears. And that's what we'll explore in the last part of our deep dive.
Oh, we'll really dig into navigating life with the heart compass as our guide and finding the courage to follow it even when things feel uncertain.
I can't wait. Listeners, stay tuned for the final part of our exploration of the heart compass. We'll tackle the tough questions and figure out how to embrace the unknown with curiosity and courage. So we're back, diving deeper into this heart compass idea. We've talked about what it is, how it talks to us, and now comes the exciting part, but kind of scary too. What happens when it leads us into the unknown?
That's where it all starts, right?
Yeah.
Sabine's point is it's not about comfy and easy.
Right.
The heart compass, it's about being our truest selves, and often that means going places we don't know, getting out of our comfort zones.
It's funny, we talk about following our dreams, but when they start to feel real, it can be scary too. Like, wait, am I really ready for this? How do we handle that? The excitement of what could be and the fear of what we don't know.
That's where trusting ourselves comes in. Sabine talks about how the heart compass isn't about knowing the exact path.
Right.
It's about trusting that inner wisdom to guide us, even when we can't see the whole picture.
But how do we know? Is it really our heart compass or just fear dressed up as being practical?
Right.
Like, oh, I'd love to quit my job and travel, but bills, responsibilities.
Yeah.
How do we know when to listen to that practical side and when it's just fear holding us back?
That's where discernment comes in. Sabine makes this difference between intuition, those soul whispers, and just being impulsive.
Okay.
Intuition, she says, it's a quiet voice. It speaks through a feeling of like, this just feels right, aligned. Often there's a sense of peace with it.
I see.
But being impulsive, that's louder, more reactive, driven by outside pressure or wanting to escape something uncomfortable.
So it's not just what we feel, but what that feeling is like.
Exactly.
If it comes from fear or feeling like we lack something or needing to prove ourselves, that's probably not our heart compass.
Right.
But if it feels peaceful, expansive, maybe even exciting, but with courage, that's a sign we're onto something.
Yeah, and figuring those signals out, it can take time. Sabine suggests things like journaling or quiet reflection. It helps sort through the noise and connect with that deeper knowing. It's like asking ourselves, what would I want if I wasn't afraid? What fits with what I value and want to achieve?
This makes me think, let's say our heart compass points us toward a big change. A new career, moving, ending a relationship that's not working.
Yeah.
How do we find the courage to actually do it? That feels different from like having coffee with a friend or being in nature.
Definitely.
Those are nice, but not exactly huge leaps of faith.
You're right. Those big choices need a different kind of courage. And Sabine doesn't pretend it's easy. She's honest. The heart compass path can be tough, even messy. But she also says It's in those moments when we're unsure, when we lean into the unknown, that we grow the most, find our true strength.
So it's not about getting rid of fear, but about working with it.
Yeah.
Knowing that fear often means we're close to something really meaningful.
Right.
Something that could change us.
Exactly.
Still, easier said than done. Any practical tips for those big, scary choices?
Sabine suggests breaking those big goals into smaller steps.
Okay.
Instead of the whole daunting thing, we can ask, what's one small, brave thing I can do today that's in line with my heart compass?
I see.
Maybe it's a conversation we've put off, looking into a new opportunity, or just making time for being creative.
That's great. It's not about being overwhelmed, but empowered.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to have it all figured out now,
Right.
but I can take this one step. And maybe those small steps add up, leading to bigger changes.
Exactly. And Sabine says we don't have to do it alone. Talking to friends, mentors, even therapists can give us support and encouragement. Remember, this heart compass thing, it's not a solo trip. It's about building a network, people to help us through the rough parts and celebrate the wins along the way.
This has been amazing. It's clear. The heart compass, it's not just a nice idea, it's a real tool for living a better, more real life. So as we wrap up, here's a thought. What's your heart compass whispering to you right now? What small, brave step can you take today to honor that voice? Remember, you can create a life that's true to you, full of purpose, joy, and being your real self. Thanks for joining us.